Hello friends, we are going to start evolution. Today we will discuss theories of evolution. So what is evolution? It is descent with modification. Salient features of evolution: first of all, unicellular organisms appeared. Then multicellular organisms evolved from these unicellular organisms. Early forms of the individuals or organisms were simple. Gradually more complex forms developed. So we can elaborate the definition of evolution that it is a gradual process which leads to changes from simple to complex or better form. Example, invertebrates appeared first and then came the vertebrates. Similarly, simple seedless plants came first or appeared first and then evolved seed plant. Now let us see some of the theories of evolution. First is Lamarckism or Lamarck's theory. It was proposed by Jean-Baptiste de Lamarck. He was a French biologist. His theory was published in Philosophy Zoologique. What is his theory? It is known as use and disuse theory or inheritance of acquired characters. Let us see the postulates of this theory. First is new needs. Ecological condition of an organism lead to new needs. So we know that organisms live in certain environment and each environment has certain ecological condition, and in order to live in these ecological conditions, there are certain requirements or certain needs, and these needs are met by modification of old organs or by the production of new rudimentary organs. These modified organs or the rudimentary organs are continuously used, and this results in the increase in the size and also their functional capacity. Also, there are certain organs which are not used, which results in the degeneration or loss of these organs. So, by the use and the disuse of the organ, there are acquisition of new characters and also degeneration or loss of others. And these characters that are acquired, these are inherited. That is transmitted to next generation. This is known as inheritance of acquired character. So therefore, there is accumulation of new characters and improvement of older ones generation after generation, because in each generation there is certain needs depending upon the ecological condition or the environmental condition in which organisms live. And this results in the development of new species or modification of a species into a new one. So we can define Lamarckism as, or theory of Lamarck as, in response to changes in the surrounding environment, structure or function of organ changes during the lifetime. This is then inherited by offsprings and keep on adding. This gradually leads to origin of new species or modification of species into a new one. Example, long neck of giraffe. The ancestors of the giraffe were of short neck, but they have the inner need or inner desire to have long neck in order to feed on the higher leaves, say, so they started stretching their neck. As a result of which, the offsprings that were produced were of slightly longer neck, and after many generations all have much longer necks, as we see in the present day giraffe. So Lamarckism was criticized by A. Wiseman, who gave the theory of continuity of germplasm and Mendel's law of inheritance. August Wiseman did his famous experiment in 1904. He cut off the tails of rats for 80 generations, but tailless offsprings were never born. And according to the germplasm theory, he explained that there are two types of the cells, germ cells and somatic cells. Germ cells are responsible for heredity. But somatic cells form the body of any individual or organism, and these are not responsible for their heredity. Acquired characters restricted to somatic cells, that is, if the characters that are acquired are restricted to the somatic cells, these cannot be inherited. And according to Neo-Lamarckism, acquired characters incorporated in the germplasm are heritable. And when these characters accumulate through generation, these forms new species. Darwinism. Charles Darwin, 1809 to 1882. He was an English naturalist. His theory is known as origin of species by natural selection or theory of natural selection. This theory was proposed by Charles Darwin and Alfred Russell. Postulates are overproduction. Living beings reproduce exponentially or their population increases geometrically, but however, they show stability or their number remains almost constant. How it is possible? Due to struggle for existence, because population increases geometrically, but the factors which are required to survive, like the food, space, etc., these are constant. So in order to survive, there is the struggle for existence, and this struggle takes place at 3 levels. Intraspecific, that is competition between individuals of same species. Interspecific, competition between individuals of different species that are living together. Struggle with the environment. Also, there is struggle with environment, and these may be the environmental conditions like heat or cold, food, water, oxygen, and so on. So how it is possible that some survive and some doesn't survive? This is due to the variation and heredity, because all the individuals of a population are not same. There is variation, and most of these variations are heritable. Survival of the fittest or natural selection. So there are various individuals, there is variation, and only those individuals survive which display variations that are beneficial for particular environment. That is, those variations which make them fit to survive in a particular environment are only selected, or these only survive, and rest of them are not selected, or rest do not survive. Then this leads to the origin of species. Theory is origin of species by natural selection. Because of the overproduction, there is the struggle for existence among individuals. Also, among the individual, there is variation, and these variations are inherited. Hence, the successive generation become better adapted to the environment, because only the better adapted individuals are selected, or only the better adapted individuals survive. And these adaptations are preserved, and these keep on accumulating generation after generation in the individuals of species. This ultimately leads to origin of new species from old ones, or the modification of old species into the new species. So let us understand this graphically. So what happens? There is overproduction, or the population of the individual increases exponentially or geometrically, but the sources are limited. So there is environmental stress. Hence, the individual struggle for the existence, and all the individuals are not same, but there is variation. These variations are heritable. So the variation which are beneficial for the individual to survive gets selected. This is known as natural selection, or survival of the fittest. That is, the fit individual are naturally selected. Also, this is not the end. Due to the environmental changes, the adaptations keeps on accumulating, or it is preserved generation after generation. This leads to evolution, which is descent with modification. Hence, new species are originated, or we can say that older species gets modified into new ones. Let us see the summary of Darwinism. Evolution as such. World is steadily changing. That is, world is not constant. Hence, we can say that evolution is a gradual process. Second is common descent. Organisms are descended from common ancestors. Organisms of every group are descended from the common ancestors, which we will discuss in detail later. Multiplication of species, origin of enormous organic diversity. So we have seen that population increases exponentially or geometrically due to the overproduction, and no two individuals of any population are same, but there is variation, and when these variation are heritable, then these are accumulated generation after generation, which then later results in the modification of older species into the new ones, and in this way new species evolve. Evolution is a gradual process, and any new type of individual that appear does not appear suddenly, but it appears due to the gradual change in the population. Natural selection. In every generation, genetic variations occur, because we have seen that no two individual of any population are same, but these vary from each other. Few individuals are well adapted and possess inheritable characters, and these survive. So if the variation is beneficial, so these can survive, and if these characters are heritable, then it is transmitted to the next generation. So if the characters are beneficial, these survive, or these are selected. This is known as the survival of the fittest, and these give rise to the next generation. Now let us compare Lamarckism and Darwinism. According to Lamarck, ancestral giraffes were all of short neck. When there was scarcity of the food and food was only available at the higher trees, then there was the inner need for the stretching of the neck, as a result of which the offsprings that were produced were of slightly longer neck, and the continued stretching resulted in the long neck giraffe which we see today, or which we see in the present day giraffe. But according to Darwinism, ancestral giraffes had varied length of neck. Some were of short neck, some were of longer neck, and some had longest neck. When the food was only available in the top of the trees, long neck giraffe were more fit, and hence these survive. Therefore, there was the competition, and in the natural selection, long neck giraffe was selected. This is known as the survival of fittest. So only long neck giraffe survived, and thus the present day giraffe which we see all have long neck. So this is all for today's video. In the next video, we will discuss about Neo-Darwinism. If you like this video, please hit the like button, share it, and subscribe my channel. Thank you.